Hi there, and welcome to your 2023 Pioneer RE275. We're just going to start off in the back bumper here. You pull this cap off, you're going to find your sewer hose. Just take note of these two ears here. Those are the two ears that are going to be connecting to your sewer outlet. We just keep this tucked away in the back bumper here to keep some of the smell out of the unit. Right up from there, you do have your power cord. Just take note of that ear there. It lines up with that ear on this end. You line those two up, you push it in, you give it that quarter turn, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that back, you're going to find your standard 30 amp plug end. Unplug that. Most campsites should have this. You should be able to plug right in. If they don't, we do include a 15 amp park adapter, so that even if you have the unit at home and you just want to plug it into a standard outlet, you can do so. Just keep in mind you are going down to 15 amps, so you couldn't run something like the AC. Take a step down the unit here. And you do have your sewer outlet. On the left is your black, and on the right is your gray. You're always going to want to be emptying your black water first, as it's your dirtiest water, and then come behind that with your gray, which is your more clean water, which is your sink and shower water. You take this cap. See those two ears there? Those are the two ears on your sewer hose. They just line up with these notches on the sewer outlet. Goes on like so. And you just give that a turn, lock it into place. Right up from there, you do have an exterior shower with hot and cold water. And above that, you have your city water connection. So let's say you get to a site with service and you could just plug right into this, pressurize your lines. Then there's no need to run that water pump. And right next to that is just your black tank flush. So let's say you emptied the tank, you know for a fact the tank is empty, but the monitor panel is still showing 1/3, 2/3 are full. You could just hook up a regular garden hose to here while you're hooked up to your sewer. Have that black tank open, turn that garden hose on, sprays out the inside of the tank, cleaning off those probes. And it also washes down some of the smell. Right inside here, you just got more storage, as well as where you're going to find your little tool to run your jacks down. Or, sorry, this is to override the electric jacks. So your jacks isn't working. You can connect this to the end on the other side and run those to the ground, as well as your power tongue override. There's a little cap I'll show you. This connects to that nut at the top of the jack. Then it lets you run that jack up and down. And this one is for your spare tire. I'll show you where that is in a minute. It's on the other side. This is how you'll lower your spare tire. At the front of the unit, we do have battery boxes where your battery is stored. That's how you gain access to it. Right here, you do have your 2 barbecue-style propane tanks. This is how you could normally access them. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to take this off. Right here, you just got your 2 regular-style barbecue tanks. You got a little selector valve. So let's say this tank runs low. This tank runs empty. This little green goes to red. You could switch it to this side, start running off this tank and get this tank full. But for the meantime, we'll just run it off this tank, open it up, and you got propane running to the unit now. Right at this little rubber tab here is what you'd remove to if your electric jack stopped working. You got a manual override right underneath this rubber cap. You just got to pry that up a little bit with a screwdriver. You got up, down, and then you also have a little light in case you're loading up at night. Around the other side of the unit here, we do have just the other side of your storage compartment. This is where you're going to find your water hose and that 15 amp park adapter I told you about. Right here is where you have your button to run your jacks to the ground. So you're going to hit that button, extend, and the jacks start making their way to the ground. Sometimes you do just have to adjust those feet. So there you go. You heard that motor wind up. That's how you know the unit's nice and firm now. To retract them, you just hit the button the opposite way. The jacks are going to make their way up. Simple as that. You got a cable satellite outlet as well as power outlet right here. You do have your fresh water fill. Just take this cap off, put a garden hose in there. It's going to fill your fresh water tank, which your water pump draws off of. And right here, we do have your hot water tank access panel. Before you ever go to fire up that hot water heater, you're just going to want to give this a pull. There should be a shot of water that comes out. If there's no shot of water that comes out, that could mean the tank is empty and you wouldn't want to fire it up while it's empty. I'm going to go over a reset procedure inside. The button I'm referring to is just right here. And then you have your 1 16" drain bolt if you're leaving the unit for a while and don't want to leave any hot water inside. Right here, just keep in note, this is your furnace exhaust. So this does blow hot air whenever the furnace is running, so you're just not going to want to have that blocked. And then right up here, you do have your exhaust for your range hood. So right now it is closed, and we recommend keeping it closed while you travel. It just keeps that keeps dust out of the unit. Whenever you get to your campsite, you just got to give this little guy a pull, and it just pops on out. Now it's open and allows those fumes to exit, but just pushing it in place locks it in place, so that way you get less dust inside. This is just a service port for your refrigerator. You open up this here. You do have a little 110 mini fridge, so this doesn't run while the unit is plugged into your tow vehicle. And right here, you just have this little safety latch. Pull this out. You have this nice little exterior stove. And the way that works is you got this little propane line. Run that behind the stove. Comes underneath here. You got this little quick connect propane collar here. So you just peel that collar back, push the hose in, clicks into place. Take this little valve, opening it up. That opens the flow of propane, allowing propane to flow to the stove. While the valve is open, as a safety measure, you can't release the line. So you do have to close the line. And then that'll allow that to pop off. And then you just got a little dust cap to allow stuff not to get in there. Now, whenever you're packing up from your trip, you are just going to want to make sure that you pull this line up and tuck it away in the back here. That way it doesn't get stuck on anything when you're pushing it in. And just that little safety latch to lock it in place. For the rear jacks, here is the button that you would use to run those to the ground. Same button, works the same way as the one in the front. In the back here, you do have your spare tire as well as your observation camera. And you have a little cargo rack. The way that works, you just pull those pins, take those out. And then that does allow the unit to fold down. Just always making sure that you have these in place whenever you travel. One thing I did forget to mention, right here, somewhere along the bottom here, right here, this little nut here is a slide out override. So you do have one of those bars inside your storage compartment, hooks up to this bolt. And if your slide out were to stop working, that is a manual override to either open it or close it. Get inside the unit here, you just take this assist handle, push it up, fold it 90 degrees. The door pops on open. Inside you have this stair set. Pull this blue tab, unlocks the stairs. They then start folding out. Just keep in note, you got these little silver tabs here. You just push those in and you can adjust the feet to what your campsite needs are. so you can either raise them or lower them. Those fold down, take a step on inside. Right up on your left, you do have your fire extinguisher. That's simple. Pull the pin and shoot. And right above that, you do have your monitor panel. So you got your battery, which is 11.2, 11.7, and 12.3, and then low. And then you have your fresh, your black, and your gray. So that goes a third, 2/3, and full. And then right next to that, you do have your hot water or your water pump switch. So you turn that on, it turns your water pump on, which draws from your fresh water tank. And then you have your gas with heater button. So you're going to hit that. This DSI fault light's going to come on. It will go off when the furnace lights. If it stays on, that then means that the furnace didn't light after 3 tries. At that point, you're just going to turn this switch off, go to the heater, hit that black button I told you about, come back inside, and then try it again. And then below that is your water heater with electric. Right up on the wall here, you have your light switch. So the button on the left does your interior lights. The button on the right is going to do your awning light. Below that, you do have your slide out switch. So you hit that button out. Slide out's going to start making its way out. Just always making sure that you're not going to run the slide out into anything before you open it. We're going to know that slide out's fully extended. You're going to hear the motors wind up a bit and then clicking. As soon as you hear that clicking, you know the slide out's fully extended. You can let off that button. So there you go. You heard that clicking. Right here, you do have your button to run your awning. So you hit that button, extend. The awning is going to start making its way out. Whenever you're going to get to about 10 to 15 kilometer-an-hour winds, you are going to want to make sure you bring that awning in. That way you don't run the risk of ripping it off or bending your arms. You're going to know that awning's fully extended when you see the little flap hang down in the back of the metal tube. So that flap can sometimes stick. And there you go. There's the back of the metal tube and that flap. So I'll show you. You can do this to any arm, front or rear, but you just grab it here. You pull it down if it starts raining. Changes the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off and not pool in the middle. Now, if you do like that angle better, because it does allow for more shade, you can do the same thing front and rear, and it allows for more shade. But whenever you go to bring it in, just always making sure you fold that arm back up. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything as you bring it in. As you retract it, you are going to make sure you want to watch that, just making sure that it rolls the right way in. That way you're not trapping any water inside, accelerating growth of mold and mildew. We're going to take a step on inside here. You got cupboard space up top. You got a sink with hot and cold water. Inside this cupboard is where you're going to find your binder. As soon as we put it in there, that binder is going to include any owner's manuals, remotes, keys that you're going to need for this unit. Right below these drawers here, you do have your LP detector. Propane's heavier than air. It's going to sit on the floor. That guy will detect it. If that guy starts going off, you are just going to want to make sure that you open up all the windows inside the unit, turn off the main propane supply at the tank, maybe turn on your fans, get all that fumes out. You got your microwave. Not much I'm going to show you there, just like home. You do have your range hood, so whenever you're running this stove, it is propane, so you just are going to want to run that fan, evacuating the fumes. Be careful with this glass lid. As you're flipping it back, you get access to your stove. The way that works is you just turn these switches to light, hit that igniter, lights right on up. Stove kind of works the same way, except you do need a lighter to have that light. You turn that over to pilot. While you're pushing the pilot button in, you take your lighter and you hit that little thermocoupler. Sometimes it does take a second to light as you got to clear all the air out of the lines, but there we go, we're already lit. Hold that for another second, then you can let off and it'll hold the pilot. push that button in, and you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it'll turn on. Now, if you want, you can just turn that back to pilot and it'll hold the pilot light. But whenever I turn it off, I do recommend just going to off. That way you don't forget it if you go to travel. Folding that back down, you do have your Dometic fridge. Now, this fridge can run off propane or electric. With the button pressed down, it's going to go into auto. So it's going to first search for AC power. So it'll just run on 120. If you have that button depressed, it will run solely on gas. You get your entertainment center here with more storage. Not much I'm going to show you there, except for right here. You do have your fuse panel. Whenever a breaker pops, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just got to turn it off and then back on to reset it. And whenever you do have a breaker pop, there should be a little red indicator light telling you which one has popped. Right here, you do have a fold-out bed, so you just grab the foot of the bed. It folds out. Quite simple. To get it back in, you just pick up the foot of the bed, kind of grab the back of the top of the couch. It folds back down. Both the dinette and the couch have lights above them. The dinette can turn into a bed as well. All you have to do to do that is just take these metal tubes out, and the tabletop should sit on these ledges here. And then you just take your back cushions and fill in the middle, and you have another bed. We'll take a step on inside the bathroom here. Light switch is the left, and you do have a fan that you can open up, and that switch for that is on the right. You got your shower with hot and cold water and a nice swivel head. You got your medicine cabinet with some storage inside, sink with hot and cold water, and you got your toilet. Your flusher is on the right. Take a step on inside the bedroom here, and the light switch is just behind the door. Turn that light switch on. It turns the lights on inside here. You do have inside each cupboard, you do have sleep app access, as well as a little light and a plug-in on each side. Right here, you are going to find a fire exit. To get that open, you just take this little red tab, pull the screen out, grab your handle, push it on out, and you can climb out. And then just right here, up on the roof here, you do have your cable satellite outlet. This little green button here is just telling you that the satellite is on. You can't turn it off with that button. Leaving it on does improve your radio frequency though. And right here, you do have a TV backer if you were to want to put a TV in the bedroom. And then on the wall here, you just have your thermostat. It's pretty simple. You push the button, it's going to light itself up. Hit that button one more time. It's going to bring you to fan low. So at this point, you're just moving air around with the AC, just on fan, no cooling involved. Then you get the fan high, so that's the same thing, just running on a high fan. Now you get into cool high, so that's going to be running the air conditioner on a high fan, cooling all the time. Same thing on low with the low fan, and then you get to cool low auto, so now it becomes an on-demand system. Same thing with the high, just on high fan, and then you get down into heat. So when you're running into the heat, it is your furnace is going to move its air through all these air ducts you see you have inside the unit here. Now, whenever you go to turn this heater off, if you hit that button, it's going to go to off. Now it's going to do a safety precaution, and it runs for at least 3 minutes before it shuts down. So just don't panic if it doesn't turn off right away. Just take note too, this little panel here is where you're going to get access to your hot water heater, so you can turn those bypass valves if you were to winterize it yourself. Take those two little screws out, this pops out, and you'll see those valves as soon as you open that up. That's about it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.